What if I told you that one of the most shocking mysteries in aviation wasn't a hijacking or a technical failure, but a chip worth $1 billion? Welcome to the enigma of MH370 and the chip that may have changed everything. This isn't science fiction. This might have been the missing piece no one wanted you to see. Picture this. It's 12:41 a.m., March 8th, 2014. A Boeing 777 from Malaysia Airlines takes off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, bound for Beijing. Flight MH370. On board 239 people, passengers, crew, and a handful of engineers who, according to records, were working on something the world still doesn't fully understand. A chip, not just any chip. A chip that, according to some, could be worth more than the plane itself. At 1:21 a.m., communication cuts off. No emergency signal, no distress call, no explanation. It simply disappears. Radar loses it. Control towers get nothing back. And what seemed like a routine flight turns within minutes into one of the greatest mysteries of modern history. At first, everyone thought it was a technical failure. But when satellites began tracking its last pings, signals suggesting the plane kept flying. For nearly 7 more hours, something stopped making sense. How could an entire aircraft vanish without a trace in the age of satellites and GPS? And why, among the passengers, were there 20 engineers from a semiconductor company called Freescale? A company that at the time was developing advanced defense technologies, stealth radar systems, and chips with potential military use. The rumors came fast that the plane didn't crash. It was silenced. That on board was a prototype, a chip valued at over $1 billion, capable of shifting the balance of technological power. And that, for some reason, that chip was never meant to arrive. Since then, hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent searching for it. Over 120,000 square kilometers of ocean have been scanned. But of MH370, only fragments have been found, scattered pieces of a story that still doesn't fit. What really happened that night? A technical tragedy or a covert operation? And what role did that mysterious chip play, the one that never reached its destination? The story of the chip. While the world kept searching for answers in the ocean, a new clue began circulating through the corners of the internet. Among the passengers on MH370 were 20 employees of a U.S. company called Freescale Semiconductor. Engineers, technicians, specialists in defense microchips. They weren't tourists. They were part of a development team working on advanced military technology, stealth radar, encrypted communication systems, and microprocessors for drone control. And according to leaked reports, one of their most recent projects was a revolutionary chip capable of processing signals without being detected by radar. A chip like that could be worth $1 billion or more, not just for its commercial value, but for what it represented: the power to disappear from the map. Exactly what happened to MH370. Freescale wasn't a small player. Founded in Texas with military contracts and links to U.S. defense agencies, it had developed chips for missiles, radar, and avionics systems. On that flight were Chinese, American, and Malaysian engineers collaborating on a new kind of high-frequency semiconductor microchip. Days after the disappearance, a curious fact emerged. A Freescale technology patent was approved just 4 days after the crash. And here's where the theory that set the internet on fire began. 4 of the 5 inventors listed on that patent were on board. The 5th wasn't. That 5th name belonged to a major corporation, Freescale Semiconductor. According to U.S. patent law, if an inventor dies, their share of the patent rights automatically transfers to the company. In other words, if the story were true, the disappearance of the plane would have left full ownership and the potential $1 billion profits under corporate control. But here's where reality and conspiracy collide. Yes, the patent records exist, but there's no confirmed evidence that those inventors were actually on the passenger list. The names don't match official records, and Freescale publicly denied any link between the chip and the tragedy. So, where did this story come from? From forums, viral articles, independent researchers connecting scattered dots. Some saw impossible coincidences. Others saw a narrative simply too perfect to be true. But one detail still remains unanswered. Why did the plane change course so precisely, shut off all communications, and fly for hours completely invisible to radar? Was it coincidence or applied knowledge? At that point, the chip mystery became something bigger, a metaphor for power, for what happens when technology, money, and silence come together, and the result disappears from the map. And now I'll ask you, do you believe MH370 vanished by accident? Or was it silenced because of something that was never meant to see the light? Leave your theory in the comments. I want to read what you think, because that's what this channel exists for, to analyze the financial, technological, and human secrets the world prefers to forget. If you love discovering what others don't dare to reveal, subscribe now and hit the bell, because every week on Drakonomic, we unearth another story that'll make you see the world differently. And believe me, what comes after this case will change the way you see power. If this story has surprised you so far, write in the comments, "I remember." I just want to see how many of you still remember where you were when you first heard the name MH370, what has been found so far, and the new searches. For years, the Indian Ocean became a graveyard of hope. Dozens of countries, satellites, ships, and submarines scanned an area so vast it could swallow the entire United Kingdom 3 times. Despite more than $200 million spent, the sea refused to speak. Until one day, it did. In July 2015, more than a year after the disappearance, a piece of metal washed up on the shores of Réunion Island in the Indian Ocean. It was part of a wing, a flaperon, a vital component of the Boeing 777. Tests confirmed it belonged to Flight MH370. For the first time, the world had a physical clue, but also a new question. If that fragment traveled thousands of kilometers to that island, where was the rest of the plane? After the flaperon came more debris, bits of fuselage, interior panels, pieces of the landing gear, all scattered across the coasts of Africa and the Indian Ocean. But never a single black box, never an emergency signal, never a human body, only fragments, as if the plane had disintegrated slowly under the sea, or as if someone had decided what we were allowed to find. In 2018, an international report closed its investigation with no conclusions. Literally, we cannot determine what happened. But while governments filed the case away, technology kept moving forward. New models of satellite data analysis, artificial intelligence, and deep ocean scanning began to offer new hope. In 2023, a private company, Ocean Infinity, proposed restarting the search using autonomous underwater vehicles capable of mapping the seabed with millimetric precision. These drones can explore zones once deemed impossible, deep trenches, kilometers-long cracks, and their proposal was simple but powerful. No find, no fee. A $70 million mission to be paid only if significant MH370 wreckage was found. The Malaysian government agreed, and for the first time in years, the search for MH370 sparked global interest again. Investigators believe the plane may rest in an area still unexplored, near the southern Indian Ocean, where currents may have dragged it beyond the original search zone. But even if they find it, the questions remain. Who turned off the systems? Why did it fly for 7 more hours? And what exactly was that flight carrying? A simple commercial shipment? Or a chip that was never meant to reach its destination? They say the sea always returns what it swallows, but sometimes it only returns what suits the silence. More than 10 years later, Flight MH370 remains an open wound in the world's memory, a mystery that neither science nor technology nor the most powerful nations have been able to close. And that, perhaps, is what scares us most. That in an age when we can see Mars in high definition, an entire airplane can vanish without a trace. The data is there: metal fragments, satellite paths, simulations. But the motives remain beyond human reach. Human error? Technical failure? Premeditated act? External intervention? Each theory answers one question and opens 5 more. As for the billion-dollar chip, the truth is grayer than the myth. Yes, Freescale lost its engineers. Yes, there were patents at stake. Yes, the plane carried technology. But no evidence proves a conspiracy. Sometimes the most powerful stories don't need to be true. They just need to be possible. Because MH370 didn't just vanish from radar. It vanished into something deeper. Humanity's inability to accept the void. When we can't find answers, we create them. And in that space between the real and the imagined, modern myths are born. Maybe the mystery of MH370 isn't at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe it's in what it reveals about us, about our fear of losing control, the power of information, and the fragility of a truth that can vanish with a single press of a button. Because sometimes, power isn't measured in money or weapons or technology. It's measured in silence. And in the case of MH370, that silence is worth more than $1 billion. But tell me, do you believe MH370 vanished by accident? Or was it silenced because of something that was never meant to come to light? Leave your theory in the comments. I want to read what you think, because this channel, Drakonomic, exists precisely for that. To uncover the financial, technological, and human secrets the world prefers to bury. If you're passionate about understanding what truly drives power, subscribe now and turn on the bell, because every week we dig up a new story that'll make you see the world with new eyes. And trust me, what comes after this case will change the way you see power.